Hello friends, welcome to Akulmek Live. I am Kanchan Verma. And today in this episode, we are joined by a leading music therapist. And in this episode, we will be discussing about the importance of shloka chanting. So stick around to this episode till the end to know more about music therapy and shloka chanting. Welcome back, and today we have Dr. Shambhavi Das, who is a well-known music therapist, and she also teaches music. She has her own academy, Surdemi. So, without wasting any further time, I would like to welcome her. Welcome to the show, Shambhavi. How are you doing today?
I am very fine. Thank you, Kanchanji. Thanks for inviting me again.
It is always a pleasure because your songs and your knowledge of music is so good. Before I start this session today, I would like to ask you, since you are a music therapist, so for my audience, what really we can understand, what is this music therapy?
So, yes, I'm a music therapist, and this is a very emerging field in globally, it's very emerging. Music therapy, as the name suggests, when we heal people or when we cure people through music or musical tunes, sounds, intonations, chants. So that is, these modules come into music therapy. A music therapist has to be a musician because he or she can know the proper frequencies which helps to understand the body, and he can make his voice reach towards the definite frequencies. That's why, more than a doctor or a medical practitioner, a music therapist has to be a musician. And more than that, aesthetical musician, not just a mechanical one. Like if we just see the veteran musicians, it's okay to learn things through rigorous practices of 20 years, 25 years. You can be a very good musician. But for being a music therapist, the most important prerequisite is that you have to really feel the pain, the empathy of your client or anybody is a is very very essential for being a music therapist. You have to have a very wise mind. I'm not saying I'm having it one, but this helps me a lot when I feel that yes, I'm able to feel the pain, and I'm not and I'm empathical about the people, so that helps a lot. A role of a music therapist is to reach the background of a client, that is the in the clinical setting. So we normally take 3 to 4 sessions to understand, and we have certain scales, evaluation scales, parameters to understand. We write down the case histories of a client, that what all comorbidities he has and how did he or she develop this particular diseases. So then we select some sounds and the tunes for music therapy. uh, Western music therapy is something else, like not exactly something else, but in Western music therapy, instrumental sounds are used. Instruments like Tibetan bowls, harps, congs. So these are used a lot. And in Indian music therapy, we normally cure people with a particular ragas, then the Vedic chants, and we also use all these kinds of these kinds of instruments like the tuning forks and all. But we normally, verbalization is the vocal renditions are which are important in our Indian music therapy. In India, music therapy has not been a very, it's into a developmental stage. It has to recur because there are many cultures. there are so many caste and creeds, there are so many musical cultures, so we normally have to meet all that. So in the case history, we take that also, like we have to have a musical background also for the people. So basically, music therapy is to understand the body psyche, the human psyche, the psychological aspects, as well as the musical aspects of the client, and then um we normally heal it. Now, music therapy has been, it's now normally it's into a developmental stage, but when it comes to certain diseases, certain disorders like autism, ADHD, schizophrenia, other mental diseases like stress, anxiety, depression, insomnia, it is already emerged. I won't say that it's into a developmental stage, yes, but when it comes to physiological like cancer, uh, normal sciatica and all, so it's uh, people are less accepting for that, and definitely they need a little the little frequent cure for them, little fast cure. So they normally, so we are still researching, my association, Indian Music Therapy Association, which is led by Dr. TV Sairam. He is the father of music therapy. So we are making people go to the research areas as well, and we have a lot of doctors connected to it. So this is music therapy, and in when we say global, so there are a lot of mental diseases which are cured, and it has been really proved and verified through the researchers as well. Even this Harvard, Cleveland University, uh, MIT, they are doing constant researches on music therapy, and they are getting tremendous effects. So it is, we can say, alternative integrated medicine, or adjunctive music therapy. So this is very, very essential in the holistic treatments. But yes, then it depends upon the people that they want to take holistic or they want to go to the medical. Depends upon their severity as well as their patience.
Well, based on your inputs just now, I think it's very similar to that of a talk therapy, where doctors, if somebody is in depression, people, they are professionals, they are available to talk the sorrow out of the person. So likewise, music therapy is also very essential, and I think there's a lot of difference between music therapy and music teacher. So I'm just want to say congratulations, because you are holding both the portfolio at the same time. So now coming to today's session, it was so wonderful to really understand music therapy and what does it mean. In India, we have a tradition of chanting shlokas. And it is said that every shloka has a different meaning, and the way you chant, it gives a lot of impact in your holistic development. So would like to discuss about this. What is the significance of chanting shlokas?
So for chanting yogas, first I will chant one and then I will start. योग योगेश्वराय भूत भूत भूतेश्वराय काल काल कालेश्वराय शम्भो शम्भो महादेवाय शिव शिव सर्वेश्वराय ॐ basically, chanting is it's a very scientific. So first, there are two significances of Vedic chants and chanting the shlokas. Is first of all the science, that is how it works on your physiology. Secondly, how it works on your psyche. First is the science of it, that melodic ups and downs. You might have seen that Vedic chants are normally done. I have did it in rag right now, and but normally Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona. That's up and down, the rhythmic up and down actually, that creates a melodic effect on the body. So there are two kinds of melodic effects which are created. So these are the rhythmic ups and downs, and one intonation has been da 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 da. So one intonations are used and rhythmic ups and downs are used. So this is called the NLE, the neuro linguistic effect. This effect is, so basically there are two kinds of effects. Neuro linguistic effects is created through the chanting. Secondly, PLE, the psycho linguistic effects. Psycho, I'll come after that. Neuro linguistic effects, obviously with the name it suggests that it's much related to, associated to your cognition, the brain functioning, the neurons, the brain waves. So one angle is that it actually soothes your brain and it enhances your intellect. Okay, so NLE on the body is possible even when you are chanting something but you don't know the meaning. So that rhythmic, so that waves are like this, like ECG. It is drawn like this. So basically, it not only stabilizes you, it gives you a lot of cognition push. So you can just make through the kids also. We normally try it through the kids, the ADHD kids who have little neuro disorders, focus problems, memory problems. So we try all these things and they do learn it, and we normally try it with the proper rhythm. So initially they won't follow a rhythm because they don't learn it. Once they have learned it, they have put it into a very proper intonations and rhythm. So it's very essential that one NLE is very important. Why? And there are certain hormones which are created through NLE. Second is psycho linguistics effect. Now this is a very good for your psyche, the brain psyche, but for that you have to know the meaning of the mantra. So we put it into, we just keep on chanting. But if you know the meaning of the mantras, like I'll come with the Gayatri mantra, I'll just show you the meanings, and once you know the meaning, you will understand the power of that mantra, and it comes up through your full body chants the mantra once you know it. So why when we come to PLE, so when you are chanting it, so through the cognitions also, your body releases some very positive chemicals, and one of the positive chemicals is endorphins. Endorphins are actually, it's not only positive, it makes you go to the level of samadhi. It can go to the level of trance, that you are into full stability. You are into full calming mode. Okay, so this is another significance of the chant. I think apart from chanting, there are certain specific areas like yoga. Through meditation also it can keep you in that mode, but chanting has a little more effect for that. So for that matter, chanting, the NLE and PLE both are very important. Second, it lowers down your BP. If it comes to physiological, it lowers down your BP. It normalizes your heart rate. It normalizes your cholesterol. definitely. And this research has been done in the Cleveland University, that it decreases your adrenaline and the cholesterol. It reduces the cholesterol issues also. Obviously, when you are, we have tried it into insomnia. For insomnia, chant sleeping is a very good effect, and we have tried it into a very hyperactive kids also who never sleep. These days it's a very big problem into the kids, that they don't sleep on time. They just want to, they are so distracted that they just want to. So we normally try it. We tell the mothers, the mothers of the clients, the kid clients, that you have to, we give some mantras. And not so, first initially the mothers have to chant, then they learn it and they have to come chant for like only 10 chants. They go to sleep. Sometimes it happens that you are chanting for the kids and the kids are asleep. So it's so much. So it's very good for insomnia as well. Now, if we go to the spiritual zones, it actually the significance of chants are very it's very significant, because it empowers you. It increases your mental power and the spiritual powers, in the terms of when you are doing it for a longer time, it is making you give the answers on like the lack of acceptance. Okay, I need to bring it gives you the answers, because obviously the thoughts go on. You cannot say that I'm chanting, so maybe for 2 minutes 3 minutes you might go thoughtless with but then again the thoughts provoke you. But you just have to sit back, and then you get the thoughts are there, but there would be a very positive answers for your thoughts. Suppose you are expecting something, so you'll get the answers that why I'm expecting, why can't I accept. So this is expectations and acceptance. So all these kinds of thought processes you get, and you then you see ki, yes, I'm in a very, that's why you say I'm positive. Why positive? Because you get positive answers. So these are certain sources which you can get positive answers.
Well, great, and I think now time has come that we should acknowledge the importance of chanting shloka, and I think it should be included in the curriculum. Like very few aspect of study or material is given to the students, but I think that is a high time where we really stress on this important of aspect of chanting shlokas, and it's good for human development. And I think it's also good for peace, which is very much required at the moment.
Definitely.
So, what are those good shloka where we can teach at home? And this is in sort of a guidance to the parents. One or two shlok which are very good, and on regular basis parents can teach their children, and they themselves also start chanting on regular basis.
So this is a very good question, because we try our the special kids as well as the normal kids. We try, so Vishnu Sahasranamam is very important because it's very long. So kids might take time learning it, but it is very good for the speech. So this is the thing I missed it. For the kids who have communication disorders, who don't speak it properly, Sanskrit chants. Sanskrit, as we all know, it's a very logical language, and in fact it's used in the binary functions also these days. So it is Sanskrit is very logical. And these days I'm also into Shiv Tandav Strotam also. It's very important for the kids to learn. That is also, it has I think 13 to 16 verses in it. But when they speak it out, it's very good for their speech, because it has damad jala lalat patt pavake kishore chandra. So this is how, and they have to sing it. And when we give it to the older kids who know little bit of music, we normally ask them to do it into certain very energetic ragas like Hamsadhwani, Shankara. There is a rag called Shankara, which is so you can always because it's a Shiva Strotam. So Rag Shankara, Kedar. So all these ragas are used for these and it's very beneficial. Then since the COVID time is going on, so I taught the kids Shubham Kurutvam Kalyanam for the good health. So this so they get the message that we have to pray for the good health of everyone. So in every sessions, they had to sing Shubham Kurutvam Kalyanam Arogyam Dhan Sampada Shatru Buddhi Vinashaya Deep Jyoti Namostute. So let all everybody's health get a lot of light. They get a lot of so this is very important for their wisdom also. To pray for everyone for a good health, good wisdom, good mind, body, and soul. So this is one which is very, and this is like a bhajan. It has 2 to 3 verses, and if you are singing Shubham Kurutvam, so it's like a so and plus it's Sanskrit. Ganesh bhajan, Ganesh mantras are taught, and it's very important. गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि. So when you say dhi, so dhi comes up from your gut. Especially when all these words come ha, gha, dha. It already has ha. So you are pumping your stomach, you are singing from your belly, and that's physiologically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, it's very good for the kids as well as the adults. So it's very important for them to do. Dhimahi गुणाधीशाय गुणाधीताय गुणप्रतिष्ठाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि. So this is very important. Obviously Gayatri Mantra, now the kids know also Gayatri Mantra, but they don't know the significance. And I think for telling that, it needs a full episode that how Gayatri Mantra is a very big healer for everyone, and everyone should chant it at least 10 to 12 times in the morning. Secondly, Shiv Tandav, then Shri Rudrashtakam, Namami Shamishan. So these are little very lengthy shlokas. I understand it takes time, but so there is a significance of small shlokas also because the kids won't get bored in it. And there's a significance of long, lengthy ones because when they are, the problem is that 5 minutes they take into distraction. So when they are into it, they are just the rolling back with the mantras, and they are fully into it. And as we know, kids are more focused. If they get focused, they are more focused when they are doing one thing. Normally, they don't have thoughts like the adults, like us. So these things are important. And then Triambakam Yajamai, this is a shorter one, but this again, shorter mantras have their own significance. So this one, then Tvameva Mata, very important. So that through that shloka, we normally 2 lines we speak, okay, how to respect your parents and how to accept them, whatever they are. त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव. Now how we select the tunes also, this is music therapy. According to a certain problems, when we see certain psychological problems, a person has a fear, so there's a rag for fear. A person has a lot of attachment, so there's a rag. Bauli rag has it is good for controlling the emotions and decreasing the unnecessary attachments, not all. So that comes into music therapy. So basically we merge chants, spirituality, music therapy. 4 things are merged together, and we have modules for that, a lot of modules.
Well, it was so wonderful to talk to you to understand really the importance of shloka. One last question which I want to ask you is that in case if we don't know, if kids are not aware about the tunes, if they just read it out or remember by heart, the effect will be the same, or how it will be?
Like I said, effect will definitely, it works. And like I said, NLE, the neuro linguistics. Linguistics means that you are actually rendering it. So even you, when you don't know the meaning and you are just getting the tunes, just you have heard it and you are getting the tunes, it is definitely very, very beneficial. And in fact, if you see, kids, they don't obviously for another 3 to 4 years you cannot make them understand the shlokas. And especially when you say that, okay, do you know the shlok, and they might not learn it, they are more interested into learning the chants. Okay, it will take a lot of time for you to make them understand that, like suppose Om Bhur Bhuva Swa Tat Savitur Varenyam. So these are, so you have to say, see, this is the 9 faces of Gayatri Ma. So obviously they will understand at that time, but every time they won't think the mantra. So it's very, very beneficial. It works on their cognition. But yes, for the adults and for everybody, if with time you know the mantras, you know the meaning, it works on your psyche, the psycholinguistics effect that gives the psycholinguistic effects. So tunes, even if you're learning it, no problem. It's very, very beneficial. Chants also, if you're learning it, unless you learn it with a very good ucharana, the diction and the pronunciation has to be very good, and you have to teach the kids like that. So I think meaning does work, but for the kids, you can just work without the meanings.
So, Shambhavi, it was so wonderful to really understand the deep meaning of chanting of shloka and how it is so important to understand, to recite chanting maybe on daily basis. So, as usual, Shambhavi, is so wonderful to talk to you, to understand all whatever you have said. We'll be meeting again with our next thought-provoking episode. Till then, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.